Hello everybody, welcome to G4G here on YouTube. Today we're taking a look at a PvP team for Marvel Avengers Alliance, and today's background soundtrack is brought to you by the Child of Light OST. So I'm trying to think of a name for this team, and I think I'm going to go with Kraven Blood. Get it? Kraven, yeah. So, this team is a team that I've been talking about for a little bit, and it's going to include Kraven and Morbius. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about the team synergy, then the agent gear that's going to go with it, and then we'll see the team in action. So right now for Kraven and Morbius, they've got a lot of synergy, obviously with bleeds. Bleeds is where the very obvious synergy between the two exists. Kraven likes to work with bleeds, he causes them. Morbius likes to do extra damage on them and everything. So that's the obvious synergy, but they have a lesser known synergy, and that is the delirium effects. So we see here that Fly By Night deals extra damage on critical hits. I Hunger does Exhausted, Mangle, and Incap. Exhausted is always nice. Mesmerize does the Broken Possessed, but it also does Mind Control, Disoriented, and now Migraine and Chilled because of the Brain Freeze ISO. And there's his Experimentation, which will restore stamina. Now, Morbius has a passive where he has Scent of Blood. Attacks that hit are guaranteed to be critical hits against bleeding targets. That is, no pun intended, critical to this team's setup. For Kraven, reduces damage from attackers with poison and bleeding effects, preemptively counters bleeding enemies, follows up on single target attacks on poison enemies. So, you think at first that Kraven feeds all the bleeding stuff into Morbius, but that's not just the case. Aside from that, he disorients the enemy team when he does his AoE pre-counter. That feeds Morbius, but actually Morbius is going to feed something back to Kraven. Morbius is equipped with the covert ISO, which makes him pre-counter as an infiltrator, but he's also equipped with Sting. Yes, you know this blade. Its name is Sting. Yeah, so he's going to be poisoning people for free. So these two have just phenomenal synergy. The agent doesn't have to even be here for this, but he is. So what agent gear works out very well with this team? Well, I have the Devourer in and pretty much my standard loadout. The Devourer is what I like to call the hardest working thing in all of Marvel Avengers Alliance. It is phenomenal how often this thing follows up and counters people if it gets a whiff of blood. Jaws wasn't the scary movie. The Devourer is the scary movie. Somebody could be on their period within a 6-mile radius and the Devourer will start getting extra attacks. But now there's tons of other things that work really, really well with the two of them, and I'm going to point it out. I'm not actually going to use it. I'm going to use just the Devourer for now, but some other things that we can point out over here. Well, one is a lesser known item that I talk about fairly frequently on the streams, is the Pound of Cure. The Pound of Cure existed in the Horseman Spec Ops. This is based on Beast. It causes contamination and genetically altered. Genetically altered is like Angrier's Purge, it's like Anti-Venom, it's like Doom. It causes damage when it's removed, so you either let it sit and tick down, or you remove it and you take a huge pop. Well, genetically altered, because this is an AoE gun, is actually going to go ahead and pop people if it has a Mystic Shroud or Warding Essence up. And for the rest of this video, I'm just going to call it Shroud. So it's going to do what Angrier does, and it also is obviously going to set up Kraven. But, you know, it's not stealthy or anything like that, so it could give you some issues. Now, something that came up in the stream recently was the Eldritch Relic, which unfortunately I don't have. Any of the Disorient weapons will work well, but the Amplified Rifle is going to work out really, really well. on this because the amplified rifle pre-fires and it can't be stopped by the deb. Yes, it is a gun and it may get stopped if you use it manually, but the counter isn't going to get stopped. It's also part of the maddening method set. Now, we have some other pieces of the maddening method set, like the blade. Where are you? Yes. The psychotic blade. This also exploits delirium, and it causes tenderize, which the rest of the team does slashing. So you can run this with the gun. And, you buff the gun turns around and buffs this. You also have some pieces of the cybernetic set where you can gain the malignant poison. So if you ran the cybernetic blaster and the cybernetic blade, you'd be getting follow-ups that exploit attrition, which is what this team does. And you would also be causing malignant poison, which is like despair, and it's poison that Kraven is going to turn around and like. So, I mean, there's definitely a few things that you can run that cause disoriented, cause bleeds, and, of course, cause poison. So we're just going to go with this set for now, and we're going to go ahead and jump into a practice match. Now, Kraven, for ISOs, is running measured, and he's running grit. For Morbius, he's running sting, and he's running covert. Now, for the individual A ISOs, these are pretty crucial for this team. For I Am the Hunter, he's running Vorpal. Very good for any slashing attack. For the most dangerous game, he's got it as locked on. Honestly, this is ranged and slashing. You could go with Vorpal here too. Be Prepared is running Grace. This keeps his stamina high for the measured ISO. And Hunter's Thirst is running Aware ISO, which gives him combat awareness, so it kind of turns him into an infiltrator when it's up. This one has some play. You can go combat awareness, you can go another Grace. There's a few things you could do here. The other thing is for his E ISOs, of course, because he is single target, you can give him the Rising Up new E ISO. For Morbius, for his A ISOs, he's running on Fly-By-Night, he's running increased damage. But if you really wanted him to live longer, you can make the slashing attack consumes bleeds. It'll chew the bleeds up on that person, but it'll heal Morbius. For I Hunger, I'm running Knocking on that because it's a melee attack. For Mesmerize, he's running Brain Freeze. And for Experimentation, he's running Grace. So the team has got two ways that they can really buff their own stamina. This keeps the measured ISO where it should be in terms of its damage scaling. Grit and measured, they do two different things. So in the beginning of combat, like measured's up here and grit is down here. As the stamina comes down, measured begins to fall off, but grit comes up because now you're adding grit stacks. So you eventually get to this. What's really cool is in the late game, it's very easy to do that and have measured up here and grit up here. And then that's when Kraven does tons of damage. Now, in order to make this work, I've taken out my Falb, or the Force of Light blade, on my agent and made room for the Devourer. The Dev still does a lot of work, so it's in there. So here we have Rocket Raccoon Spider-Man Noir. This could suck in the sense that my agent is not phased, and that's always a big issue with these teams. So I'm going to attack. Let's see, who is up? I'm actually going to go after Rocket Raccoon. Spider-Man Noir might detect the stealth and try to shoot me, which will initiate for the team. Nice pre-counter there. My agent protects. Doesn't take a whole lot of damage and gets an extra turn off of his big and fast. So now at this point in turn, we check to see if they have a Deb. They don't. Do they have a Grace Note? Possibly. I really want to turn off the counters on this team, and I want to get them all bleeding for the Devourer and Kraven and Morbius. So I'm going to hit him with the Hailstorm. I didn't get popped with the Grace Note. I'm in really good shape right now. Except the agent is apparently intangible. But magic will still hit him, though. I'm drinking Neurosonic. This stuff is pretty good. Tasty. Rocket Raccoon is just about destroyed. He's actually stunned. So, I'm going to lay a trap, and I'm going to assume that ranged is going to be the way to go here. So I'm going to go ahead and bonk Rocket Raccoon with a huge hit. And there's that devourer. That is why I call the devourer the hardest working thing in Marvel Avengers Alliance today. I mean, look at that thing go. And by the way, guys, the devourer is magic. So the devourer was hitting him even though he was phased. Kraven, as you could see, tried to do his pre-counter, but he missed because he was phased. So at this point, if I swipe him again with the devourer, I'm going to hit because he's now unfazed. The absorb energy is worth it, and this should actually kill him. As you can see, big numbers on Morbius. He's exploiting bleeds. And hey, look at that. By the way, guys, a lot of times when people get lockbox tasks in PvP, they're like, oh my god, I gotta do all the tasks now, and I really want to get, you know, I want to get that Christmas bonus of being able to open up a bunch of lockboxes at once and everything like that. I understand that. I want my lockboxes just about as soon as I can get them. I'm the kind of person that I get 10, I open 10. I get 10, I open 10. Some people like wait till they get 120 and they open them all. You don't have to do the tasks in legit PvP. You can actually run it in practice. And that certainly helps. Okay, I guess we got the same team again. Ish. Same team-ish. You can do them in practice, which means that you're causing your fellow MAA agents to not log in after an overnight and see negative 134. Or a friend of mine in the Twitch chat was like, he had negative 200 something. He had like negative 25 attacks. Ridiculous. Alright, so we're going to try for the bleeds. Since I'm not phased, I have nothing to lose. We're going to try to see if... Good. Again, we didn't get a nice pre-fire on a grace note. So now the enemy team is shut down. Of course, Rocket has his blaster bonus. And there goes Law of the Jungle. So right now the enemy team is not exhausted, they're disoriented. Which is a good thing for Morbius. He really likes that. Again, gonna set a range trap. It restores stamina, but as you can see, for a second there, I was not at full stamina. The agent tanks because Kraven is not stealthy. And even though that's gonna drain... Well, okay. Guess we just killed him. Again, another Law of the Jungle pre-fire. And I'm going to try to go in and get the possess of Rocket Raccoon, or I could just try to kill Spider-Man Noir, but I'm going to have a little fun with this. Mesmerize. Man, Kraven has been doing all... You've activated my trap card, Yugi. And there you go. That's what this team does. It's not quite as flashy as Team Spitgun. Team Spitho. But these guys really, really have a lot of fun together. And it's just so nice to actually be able to whip out the Devourer in PvP. So again, even if you're not thinking that a trap is going to help you right now, activating it bumps up my stamina. So I'm not quite at 100% stamina. And if we look at my grit, I'm at 5 times grit. He's just going to destroy him. He didn't even need the follow-up. So I'm getting along pretty well without the Deb over here. Now, a friend of the channel, really gets on my case for rolling the Scroll of Rudamaroth into everything. I could take out the scroll, but then I have to worry about some dodges, and I have to worry about the bleeds being cleared and the disorients. I'm keeping the scroll in. I did try it without the scroll for a bit, but it's just way more fun with it in. So, the Mesmerize is psychic and ranged. You don't have to worry about melee, so I'm not going to be able to Mesmerize Kurth. If I control Emma, she may do a psychic tap on Kurth. Since Kurth is up next, the agent's pretty far back. I think I'll go ahead and try to control Emma. Using psychic on her is going to be funny. Oh, I'm sorry. I left the Deb in, but I took the Dayblade out. That's what it was. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and... This is a real toss-up at this point. Ranged is probably the more likely, but be prepared could also be pretty strong. I'm going to go with this. And we don't want to go for Kurth, although we can because we're protected by the Shroud right now. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Alright, so the agent tanks. Oh! Wow! Excuse you! My God! That was a hell of a counter over there. Alright, well, Emma does not... She does have combat reflexes, so... I could put out the bleeds. Yeah, I'll put out the bleeds. I'll take some psychic tap, but... That's okay, because I'm still shrouded right now. That's fine. And, let's see, do they have magic warding? No. Yeah, it's always a risk when you try to use that portion of it, but it's worth it sometimes. Fortunately, the agent does not get an extra attack. Yeah, this guy's doing some damage. This guy's... okay. But the mind control on Emma worked out in my favor. And we get a devourer proc, which is good. So now the team is definitely completely bleeding. Again, cower. It's good to see how it fares against this type of team because you are going to see it around. I'm going to guess the debuff one on this one, just in case she tries to do her cleanse. See, now we're in a bad spot at this point in time. Going for the agent seems to get some counters. Going for Emma's going to give me a counter. Going for Kurth could give me a counter. May as well go... okay. Now we're forced into melee, which could be bad. I'm going to stay put for now. I want to get a shield and a heal out on him before I risk anything. Oh, there we go. She activated my trap card. Alright. I'm going to clean these guys. And I'm going to heal and shield them because Kraven's in bad shape. Hopefully we get a nice pre-counter from the bleeds. I mean, Emma's getting low. Emma's in a relative kill box zone at this point. Alright, so we had an absorb, but, you know, pretty decent damage there. And it's good to see more... There we go, that's nice. I'm not really too sure where he's getting all... Okay, I guess it was a pre-counter on the hammer pistol. Alright. Time to go use some experimentation. Probably a love me coming in here. And Kraven finally gets to use his potion. So he now has combat reflexes. If he gets attacked, he's going to counter. Ah, yeah, I'm not actually used to suffering from exhausted. Because I always tend to use a tactician agent except for this team. So the agent is just about ready to fall over too. Morbius was trying for his pre-counter. And so was Kraven. Seems like the whole team was really trying to get in on this agent before he did something, but unfortunately the hammer pistol did its job. Back for more. But hey, you know, I get to absorb off of him, so it's all good. The devourer is apparently trying to proc. So in a little bit of a way, the agent is kind of running the exact nightmare this team wouldn't want to run into. Is all of those pre-counters from the hammer pistol. That's not too bad of a rune explosion there. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to guess at ranged. And we... No, oh my god! Where... The malignant poison should be stopping this. That was a 25k white hit. Wow. See what happens if I go... Ugh. God, really? It's the... Is it the love me from her? Shouldn't have been the love me. That was... Alright, we'll use the sealed safeguard to get rid of their buffs. That'll get rid of Escutcheon on the agent, who has resurrected again. But Morbius is really trying to get rid of him. And so is Kraven. So, I'm pretty sure the reason why Kraven is missing Kurth is because of the disorient effect, being a delirium effect. And that doesn't affect Kurth. Yeah, she's still staggered. That's what it is. So, keep that in mind if you're running Kraven. He's probably going to be missing Kurth on that. So we're going to go with anti-melee just because it's up, and you see here it gives the stamina back a little bit. Nice. Did you get the follow-up? Now there's the love me. Alluring light is back up. I mean, she's going to fall over no matter what I do. The reason why I didn't get the follow-up is because she can't be poisoned. But, she can bleed. And there you go. There is Kraven Blood. As you can see, they do pretty well. I mean, they've got some flaws. Combo Breaker really, really stops this team. But they're not too affected by Kurth. Morbius, of course, is going to be stealthy. So he'll be immune to any disorient effects. And as you can see, they just set each other up really well. And even though the Devourer didn't proc a whole lot in that second one, it probably did more than we saw. But, you know, we had the hammer pistol. So there you go, guys. There's Team Kraven Blood. Hope you enjoyed this team. I think it is definitely viable in PvP for offense. For defense... maybe. I don't know how squishy Morbius is right now, but I don't think he could be any less squishy than Enchantress or angrier, and people are still running them. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned on the channel for more fun, and check us out on Twitch during the last week of Marvel Avengers Alliance PvP Season 28. See you, everybody.